Hello, welcome back to the channel. I have been traveling a lot this summer, both for work and just for personal enjoyment. In fact, my family and I just got back from 2 weeks out in Europe, and I spent a lot of time using a bunch of different apps and pieces of technology. So I figured in this video we'd talk about my favorite apps to plan travel and to use when you are out and about doing your thing. So let's get into it. First up is going to be Flighty. You can see right here I've got a widget on the left and I've got the app itself. So this app is incredibly good at tracking your flights and giving you the most relevant information that you're going to need. Arrival times, departure times, delays, gate changes, you name it, it's all there. And most of that is accessible for free without paying for a paid subscription. So you'll see here, you've got kind of a globe and you can see the line for where all my flights are going to be. If I scroll up, you can see a couple flights here, New York to London, London to Rome, Rome to Barcelona. You can click into any of these. You get a little bit more information. You get gate departure time, you've got the actual gate and terminal, and there's a bunch of additional features that you can unlock by paying for the paid subscription here. You can look up arrival forecasts and how often that flight is typically delayed. You can see where your plane is actually at if you're waiting for it to arrive before you're allowed to board. You've got detailed timetables and all kinds of things. It also keeps a track record of all your previous flights and kind of gives you a status or a ranking based upon how much you've traveled here. So if I click into my profile, you can see the number of miles that I've been on and flight times, how many hours I've lost to delays, my most popular aircraft, all kinds of really cool information. So Flighty is just a really great app to have on your phone and have the widget maybe on your home screen when you're having a long travel day and going in and out of airports. Next, let's talk about another personal favorite of mine called Mobile Passport Control. Not many people know about this app, and it is a complete hidden gem. If you are a US citizen, you know that when you fly back and arrive in the United States, you've got to go through customs, and there's typically 3 lines if you come into a major airport. You've got global entry, you've got the standard customs line, and there's something called mobile passport. Not many people know about it, so I want to show you just how simple and easy it is to use this way to get back into the country, and it's very, very quick. So if I click on the app here in the top right hand corner, the way how it starts is you have to actually add your traveler. So here I've added myself. I'm not going to click on it because it's got a bunch of personal information, but you've got to enter things like your date of birth. You have to add a picture of yourself and your passport information. It's all the things that you've got to have prepped when you're going through customs. So the way how this works is you click a new submission when you have landed at your arrival airport. So I will click airplane here. I will click on a specific airport here. So let's put SFO, we'll put Terminal G, and we'll click proceed. You would select the traveler. So here I'm going to select myself. If you're traveling with a family, maybe you've got kids or a wife, you can add all of them here as well. So you only have to do 1 submission per family. We'll go ahead and click done, and we will proceed. You're then going to get a series of questions that you would typically fill out a paper form or something like that in customs in the past, but now it is all digital with the mobile passport app. So here you'll see question 1, do we have commercial merchandise? We'll click no. Next, do I have foreign currency? We'll click no. Articles that I need to declare, no. Fruits and vegetables, no. Livestock, no. And disease agents, no. And it will basically give you a summary of all the questions that you just answered. Obviously, make sure you read through them carefully, click yes or no, whatever is the appropriate answer, and submit it. Once you submit that form, it's going to tell you where to go in the mobile passport line. Now, sometimes global entry will be basically 0 people. The customs line could be hundreds, sometimes thousands of people if there are a lot of planes landing at a similar time. The mobile passport line has always been so short for me. I've probably used this app 10 plus times when I've flown internationally, and I wait less than 30 minutes to get through customs. So it is a complete hack and a great way to get back into the United States. Next, let's talk about maps. Now, there are 3 primary apps that I have loved using in the past, which is City Mapper, Apple Maps and Google Maps. But I primarily only use Apple Maps and Google Maps now, but I'd like to show you why. So let's first open up City Mapper. I was recently in London and I was trying to go to Borough Market. So let's click Get Somewhere. I'm going to start at Big Ben. We'll click that, and I want to end at Borough Market. We'll let it think here. There's a couple different options. I can walk, I can bike, I can scooter, I can take a taxi, but you'll see down below it says suggested, and it shows which underground lines are the most recommended. So if I go here, say I'm going to select this, it tells me how much it's going to cost, how far I'm going to have to walk, how long it's going to take, all the various different stations. You've even got a great map here that you can follow along with. But the reason I've been using City Mapper less and less is because of the fact that Apple Maps has gotten so impressively good in recent years. I've used it in the United States, I've used it in Europe, I've even used it in parts of Asia, and it is impressively good. So let me go ahead and show you the exact same thing here in Apple Maps. So here I've pulled up the city of London, and I know that I'm going to be taking transit directions. So I'll click up here in the top right hand corner. I'll click transit just so that way I can easily see all of the various lines. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We're trying to go to Borough Market. Let's go ahead and get directions. And I do not want to use my current location. Let's use Big Ben in London here. So, as with any typical map query, you can see your driving directions. It'll take 23 minutes. You can click walking directions. It'll take 41 minutes. But my favorite here, we're talking about public transit. When you click on this option here, you've got the ability to choose what your specific preference is. So whether you want to use the bus or maybe you want to see all the options, you can do that and scroll through the various different options to get to your location. But specifically in London, I know that I'm going to be taking the tube, so I will click apply there. And you've got the different options. This has all of the same information that the City Mapper app had that was in that dedicated app, but it's all right here in Apple Maps as a default. So if I click this one, I'm going to take the Jubilee line. You've got very in-depth information here where I can see where I board, how much it's going to cost with a contactless fare. You can look at all the various different stops, how long it's going to take. It is a really impressive way to make your way around a city using public transit and a default app that's already on your iPhone. So let's keep talking about maps. We've talked about City Mapper, we've talked about Apple Maps. I also use Google Maps. And the reason I use all three of these is because City Mapper and Apple Maps are used for transit directions, but Google Maps is great for finding restaurants and locations and looking up reviews of things. So that I use them for very different reasons. So if we go here and open up Google Maps, we are here in London. You'll see all of these blue pins, and I will get to that in a second. But it's a great way to search and look up coffee shops, restaurants, whatever you need. So typically what I'll do is if I'm in a specific area, let's say I'm over in the Shoreditch area, and I click restaurants, you can go ahead and scroll around and look for places. I try to look for places that are 4 stars and above, and you can pretty easily scroll around, click on a place, look through the photos, read the reviews, and then what I'll do is just copy and paste that into Maps, whether I'm going to use Apple Maps or Google Maps, but whatever gets you to that place. Another thing I like to do though when I'm pre-planning my trips is create a saved list of locations. So the way how this works is in the top right hand corner, I'll click on my profile. I will click on my places here, and you'll see I've got all kinds of lists for places that I either have been or want to go. So you'll see here I've got this London list, and I've got all my pins with my favorite restaurants, coffee shops, bars, you name it, I save it in here. It's very easy to add places into this list when you are planning. So let's show that process. So I'm back here on the London map. Let's say we want to go back to this restaurant, and I know that I want to make sure that I visit it when I'm in London. I will click the save button here. You'll see it auto selects London. You might have to change it. Maybe it's in a different city that's not listed here, or you can create a new list and you click done and you are good to go. It is on your pinned list. It's a great way when you're traveling around the city, or maybe you're wandering around and have free time to kill. You can look up all your pins, see what's closest to you, and find out how to quickly get there. The next two apps are very self-explanatory, so I'm not going to spend much time on them. I've got Uber, just in case you ever need to call a rideshare or a taxi. I've also got Apple Translate. The reason I use Apple Translate over Google Translate is just because the file size is a little bit smaller, it's quick, it's minimal, it's very easy to look up basic phrases that I need to say when I'm in other countries. Lastly, I want to talk about Apple Notes. If you've been on the channel, you know that I love Apple Notes, but I use it to plan all of my travel and create itineraries and use those to send to friends and family when I'm out and about. So let me show you how I do that. All right, so here I am on Apple Notes, and I've got three primary file types that I use. So first you can see is a travel packing list, and it's relatively basic. I've got my essentials, electronics, clothing, shoes, toiletries. I just use this when I'm packing to make sure that I get all of the things that I need when I'm doing. Relatively self-explanatory. Next, I'm going to create my itinerary. And what this is it shows my dates, times, flight numbers, anything that is important that has a date and time that I need to be at, I want to have documented in here. It's also going to be extremely easy to share with friends and family. So let me show you how I create that. So here I've got a new document called Europe Itinerary. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a table here. And I'm going to make it so it is 4 columns across here. Okay, up here we're going to go date. Here we're going to go time. Right here I'm going to say event, and here I'm going to say lodging. Then what I'll do is I want to make sure that these are all bolded. And what we'll do is we will create one line item for each day of the trip. So we will... Okay, so I've started my document here. I've got the 8 days of the trip, and I know that on day 1 I have a flight here. So what I would do is just add in the time. I would add in the event. And then I know that I'm staying in the Hilton, London. I might not have anything specific on Tuesday or Wednesday, but then maybe on Friday, I know that I have a flight at 7:40 p.m. That is flight. And we are staying in, let's say, Paris on that day. Okay, so my itinerary is done. I've filled it out with times and events and lodging and all the exact address. You would want to be a lot more descriptive here. But the great thing is you can easily share this with friends and family when you're going out and about. So if I click the little share icon up here in the top right, you want to make sure that this is set to send a copy. You don't want people collaborating on this and editing your document. And then you can airdrop it, text message, email. You can do whatever you have to do to make sure that your friends and family and loved ones know exactly where you're going to be when you're out traveling. So those are the apps that I use on my iPhone and my iPad when I'm out and about traveling and when I am planning a trip. I hope you learned something new, and if I'm missing an app that's really helped you, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.